we can just go right into the story because I love it. It combines two of my favorite things, which are goats and family farms. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Goats are my favorite.
Where can you go wrong with that?
It's great. And the name of the farm is the Land of Milk and Honey. The duo, the couple that started this farm, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think that two people who were living in Chicago, who ended up in Michigan in the first place, they had very stressful jobs. You're talking about, a nurse and a firefighter. I mean, these are stressful jobs. And then to add to it, to build, this farm, this goat farm, where they're going to sell like soap and they have kids and like all these things. I mean, that story was just so inspiring. Can you tell us just a little more about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really highlights, I would say a lot of the stories actually that we feature are kind of about people who, either used to live here, moved away, came back, or have moved here for a very specific reason. And those reasons are different with every person. But there's a lot of common themes with it. And so I think for this type of story, this family, Stephanie and Chris, we're looking for a change, a lifestyle change. And I think, for them to seek out this area, it says one thing, but then they chose to, start a goat farm, which is another adventure for them. And it all came about during around the time of the pandemic. And so within the story, there's kind of some parts about how they dealt with it and what the farm meant to them
and to their family. And I think it's really important to remember that for a lot of people during the pandemic, you might be on TikTok and learning how to make bread.
Right.
But for Stephanie and Chris Como, they were in the thick of it. I mean, they were, firefighter, EMT, and nurse. I mean, you're talking about really, really high stress stuff. And Matt writes in here that the farm actually became like a sanctuary for them, where they didn't have to worry about the outside world. And that was just, I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about that. Like that. Goats, farm, cheese, soap, that becomes your sanctuary. I love that.
And the idea that like the farm will continue no matter what.
Yeah.
Really with those things that are happening on the outside with their day-to-day jobs, things are kind of fluctuating with the times, but the goats are still going to have their, I don't know the right term, but they're babies in the spring, and like they're, that's going to happen no matter what.
Like
so
life cycle continues, and I think that's interesting too. Anytime the outside world feels overwhelming, I find this with myself whenever I feel like a little overwhelmed by whatever might be happening in the in the news or in the greater outside world. I just remember, what can I control? And when you're on a farm, it's like, yeah, you got to get out there and you have to feed the animals, and that's what you can do, And so maybe there is a sense of empowerment in this world where you feel chaos,
Yeah.